the last thing I want to talk about is something that I didn't know about last time we talked, was this legendary dinner that you had with Michael, who invited this other guy named Kobe to come to this dinner. And I was reading about it. I saw a couple interviews you did about it. You're quoted as saying they were playing, quote, a virtual game of one-on-one and dissecting each other's game at dinner. I mean, what was that experience like, just be a fly on the wall for that? That must have been amazing.
Well, yeah, it was, without divulging too much, because I, out of respect to everyone that was there, and I know Michael, and I spent many years of my life with him and in very competitive environments and spending a lot of time. But I also had a chance to get to know Kobe Bryant as well.
Mm-hmm.
And even though we never played, we shared the same agent, when he first came into the league. So I had an opportunity to spend a lot of time with him, especially during the off season. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, during that day or that night when Michael said, "Hey, I'm going to dinner and we're going to catch up," I was like, "Oh, great. Okay. You're in town." And when you go to dinner with him, you always know there's going to be people, you got to sneak him in, So I was like, all right, I'll get there. And, I always try to get there like 10, 15 minutes earlier. So that way, however he's coming in through the back, the front, side, or whatever.
Yeah.
And like someone else was going to meet us there. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't even think to ask who's coming. And lo and behold, Mr. Bryant, the late Kobe Bryant, shows up. And it was great. And it was one of those moments that was great because you saw the respect that they both have for one another, but they couldn't help but turn on the competitive spirit. And they just had this virtual dialogue, if you will. And I didn't say a word. I just sat there and I just watched where they were just saying how the game would be played if they caught the ball here. I just remember it. Well, if I catch the ball in the left wing with a live dribble, how would you defend me? And the detail that they were going over these abstract ideas, that's what really caught my attention was, okay, well, how are you going to catch the ball? Like who asked those questions? What's your pivot foot? What's the score of the game? And then they just did this in all these different places. How would you defend me if I had it here? What would you do if I was? And I just remember thinking, I just had the pleasure of watching like their geniuses. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they didn't have to actually play a game, that they could actually just play it in their mind, to me was way more impressive than actually watching them play, because clearly, you would want to see them at their peak. But they were able to mentally play this game. And it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Yeah. And I remember the conclusion of all of this. I mean, this went on for quite some time, was that they both concluded that they only agreed on one thing, that Michael Jordan had bigger hands than him. And that was the deciding factor. Well, he didn't. Yeah. The one thing about both of them, they never acknowledge a loss. He just admitted that Michael Jordan had bigger hands. And that's the one thing I don't want to disclose how it concluded. But Michael having the bigger hands, that was a big thing that they both agreed upon. But it was great. It was a mutual respect, and it was one of those things that I'll always remember. And it had so many great times, and I just I miss him so much. Right? And not only me, but I think about his family and what he's done for the sport, for the game, for the city of Los Angeles, for the world, for that matter. And it was a tragic day, and it's one of those days that I will always remember, because I will remember exactly where I was at and what I was doing when I did hear the news. But he'll always have a special place, his family. And I remember meeting him for the first time when he was 18. And I'll always remember that smile and him and his family, and how happy he was. And to watch him throughout his career, I think he played about 20 years or so. It was just an amazing run that he had. And I'm just happy to have shared the moments that I was able to share in his life, and what he meant to, so many people. And you could see the respect and, what he's done for so many people, in all, phases of life. And he was just beginning to start his
Yeah.
next chapter.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it was, but that was a great moment. That was a
Yeah.
great dinner. And I remember they both, after we got done talking, then we had to figure out how to get out of there, right? The bird had got out, and
Yeah.
then one decided to leave one direction, the other left in the other. And somehow, some way they got out of that restaurant, because it seemed like 1,000 people were outside waiting to just get a glimpse of
Yeah.
those
So,
two.
so if
And
they're going and they're trying to get out one way or the other, do you get stuck with the check? Is that how it worked? I hope not.
yeah, I did get to check that night.
There you go.
You would think both of those guys, right? They've,
Right.
one owns the team, the other is, he's, but no, it was,
That's funny.
at that point, we are just,
Yeah.
just three guys sitting there. And really, it was just, I was just listening. I wasn't saying a word.
What an amazing experience to have in life.